VC here. We're going to watch this whole race together, bro. Full race. Look at my heart rate. It was just before this like 88, 90. Look at it just spiking, dude. All the way up to 115. And, dude, I just get so nervous. I get so nervous before a race. It doesn't matter how small, how big, what's on the line. It doesn't matter. Dude, if I'm racing my 8-year-old son around the living room, I'm nervous. Like, I'm trying to win. I'm trying to win, dude. I don't know why. I just get nervous. So, this is the 2-3s in New York. This is Grants Tomb Crit. Pretty cold. It was about 41, 42, something like that. And there's a lot of guys in this race. There's 90 something odd guys. It's just stacked, right? Super stacked. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about East versus West in this whole, 50 some odd minutes. So we'll definitely talk about what I think the differences are between guys on the East Coast, guys on the West Coast. Check out that van, rainbow van over there. Anyway, that turn, pretty fast, and then it's a pretty like good little kick up. I didn't really have a good chance to warm up, so I'm sort of using this first lap as like a little leg opener. I really, in hindsight, should have just sat on the back because there's so many guys. I should have just sat on the back and done nothing and waited for the last few laps to burn any sort of matches. But, I don't know, man. I really want to do something cool, and there's no way, like, if I sit in to the end, I'm not doing anything cool. I'm just potentially going to get top 5, which is neat. I mean, that's super awesome. But, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just wanted to, I really wanted to, like, make a move or a break or just have, like, a really cool story to tell. And so then I was looking for moves, dude. I was looking for moves all day long. But the way that the washer machine effect was full gas. I mean, that means that guys in the back are doing nothing. And then they just, wash around. They come from the back to the front, and then they're super fresh. And so, right here, I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to be patient. And then this guy goes. And dude, I have no clue. This guy right here on that red bike with the cool jersey, maybe he's the strongest dude in the world, and he needs to be marked. I have no clue. Or maybe he's a total goon. And everyone knows that break is made up of complete and utter idiots. And so they're just going to let it go. But I don't know that because I've never raced these guys. So then I'm just seeing there's a gap, and so I want to make it to this. I want to make it to this move. And so I was the first bit of this race. I was going pretty hard, trying to make all sorts of moves. But again, this little like drag up the hill, you could just take so much momentum sort of down the hill around the left turn, and before you're even on the power, you're just like passing people. One crazy thing was how cold it was. And how it like messed with my lungs. It really burned and seared the lungs. And so that was like something that I'm not really used to, of how, man, you're breathing hard and it's just like, it hurts. It's like physical pain. So a guy goes up the road and, I think he was off the front for like 2 laps or something like that. And I'm trying to obviously race a little smarter, you know what I mean? Than just completely just get on the front, because there's 89 people behind me, something like that. And so yeah, beautiful buildings. Like, the course was so amazing. This little kicker right here was super awesome, but you sort of like, you fly to the right and then you have to kick back to the left to like make this good turn. And so then this guy starts to go, and so I'm like, I want to say he said he's gotten second in this race a couple times. And so when he told me he got second, and he was definitely looking to win, and if he's going, like, he's the only one that I really knew that I should maybe follow. But so yeah, that the course was really dynamic. I really liked it a lot. This turn right here, if you wanted to, man, you could just rail this thing because it sort of had like an off camber, but positive. It's like a racetrack. I was super hesitant, really, on there. And so often, like this Rockstar guy in the pink, dude, he probably railed that turn and then just, I'm doing 600 watts. He's probably doing like 300 or 400 watts, right? He just kept his momentum going. And so, yeah. So East Coast versus West Coast. I mean, to be honest, it felt very similar. It felt very similar to the West Coast. The only thing I would say maybe different is the amount of heavy hitters on the West Coast is maybe more, but it's not like the level is really any higher, if that makes any sense. There's just more guys at a higher level, but the highest, the peak level isn't much different, right? So the strongest dude here in the 2.3s is very equivalent to the strongest dude in the 2.3s in California. But maybe there's like only 5 guys at, look at that crazy woman just walking the street. There's only like 5 guys here that are, hitting 5 watt per kilo FTPs. In California, I feel like there's 10, 15. You know what I mean? There's more. That's the only real difference that I would say is that. There's just like in California, there's so many guys that are threats. Here, and again, this is only one race, so like I don't really know. You know what I mean? But it felt I felt very competitive in this group, right? I mean, I could move through the pack with ease versus the 1-2s, which I'm not going to show you because I didn't do anything. It was a very super boring race. That in the 1-2s I just sat in, but again, the 1-2s felt very similar to the 1-2s in California. It was strung out. It's hard to move up. I mean, I don't know, dude. It's like you get 90 cyclists in a race. Like, it's going to be difficult. It doesn't matter who you are or really your fitness because of how much, you're having to work on the front, how much energy you're having to put out on the front, and how little energy guys are having to put back here. Like, I'm doing 100, 200 watts. The guys on the front, like I just was, 400 watts, 500 watts. So the ability to conserve energy in this big of a group and on this course that's really fast, really hard to be able to compare the fitness, you know what I mean? So if the group was like only 15 guys, 20 guys, which in California we have so many races where the group's only 20 guys, then you're able to really know where guys' fitness lands because they're having to use that fitness way more often. Here there's so many guys that really didn't, you don't have to flex. You can just sit in and race smart. And a big advantage for a lot of these guys is how this race plays out. If you've raced this course before, you sort of kind of get an idea of how it's gonna play out. I didn't know how it was gonna play out, even though everyone told me before the race, like, bro, it's gonna stay together. It's gonna be a sprint. No one's getting away. But then I think in the Cat 4s, some dude did solo away. So then I see that, and I'm just like, I want to be that guy. I want to solo away. And then also the other thing is, this is the first real race for these guys, and it's like a premier race. This was a big deal. I mean, any race that you're going to get 90 guys at, guys are very focused on this race. As of where, in California, there are so many races that are just sort of junk races, really. Like you have junk miles. In California, you can race twice on Saturday and Sunday, pretty much almost year round, right? From like February to October, you can race 4, 5, 6 times a weekend, right? Given like SoCal and NorCal. But definitely just in Northern California, there's basically 1 to 2 races every Saturday and Sunday. So not only do you have an option to race every weekend. You have multiple options. And that's where I feel like our community has gotten out of hand, dude. The racing is so diluted because if I have a choice, like, okay, there's 2 races coming up this weekend. To be honest, I should check this. There might even be 3. There's sometimes weekends where there are 3 races in Northern Cal. Maybe there's a TT, maybe there's like a collegiate race, and then a regular race. And so it's just, you have all these options. But then also, you can always race the next day. So yesterday, or this weekend, there was 2 races going on, 4.5 hours from me. And I should have gone. It would have been cool, but I've been racing since February. So I was like, no, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to hang out with the family. I'm just going to work on some videos and work and stuff like that. But how many other people have that same mentality? Like, oh, I'll just race next weekend. I'll just race next weekend. I'll just race next weekend. So when you have a huge talent pool, I mean, we have a good solid community, but it gets so broken up with guys not only racing SoCal and NorCal, but like skipping races. So we almost were always destined to have 15 to 25 guys in a race, unless it's some like premier event. So I had sat on the back for a little bit, and then this guy in the white and black, he starts to go. He's looking super aero. He's looking fit. He's got some sick socks on. Butcher Box, everyone said that you got to mark them. They won the 2-3s and the 1-2s. So, they had a strong team. They had a huge team. They had guys in all categories. So I don't know how big their squad is. As now a team owner, I just look at how much money their team is spending, so I don't know how, like, maybe a lot of people, they pay for all their kits and pay for all their, I'm really interested in their dynamic of their team now, because like how many guys are representing and how many guys are bringing out to this. So anyway, so I'm kind of trying to go with these moves, and I'm feeling good at this point. The lungs are burning for sure, but the legs are feeling okay. He flicks his arm, and this is kind of the moment where I'm thinking, I don't want to do work. I don't want to sit on the front. I want to try to race somewhat smart. I want to look for moves, and I've already sort of gotten this feeling of like, bro, this is going to be really difficult to get away because of this turn right here. On the front, choosing your own line, dude, you could do 35, 40 through that freaking turn. Right? And then you could just pull, like, see the guy in the front just crushing it, and I'm doing 300 to 400 watts. If you make that turn good, I mean, look at that guy just smashing it. If you hit your brakes, if you don't make that turn good, you're doing 600 watts up this hill, or you're doing 200 to 300. So keeping it efficient on this course was such a huge component of that. Huge component. And so, yeah, so I mean, guys that know how to ride their bikes, they're doing well, man. Being efficient, not putting out a ton of watts, but keeping their position. This guy, no warmers, no arm warmers, no leg warmers. That's crazy, because it was cold. It was super cold. In the sun, it wasn't so bad, but it was chilly. The second race was very, very cold. But look at the scenery, man. Look at these bricks. So cool. Very beautiful. This little kicker. I thought this kicker was going to be more decisive. I thought it was going to split maybe the group more. I don't actually know what happened in the back. Like, I don't know how many people finished. I was pretty far up front the whole race trying to look for something. My coach, Tony, he was watching it, and he said that guys were getting popped off the back all the time. Just like almost every lap, there was like chunks of guys falling off. And so I don't know, maybe those guys have already raced, because it really this race didn't feel fast in the way of like there was a lot of this time. A lot of moments where my heart rate's coming all the way down. I'm like fully recovering. Everyone's sort of looking at each other. Because until this point, about 6 miles in, there would always been someone on the front kind of trying to make a move. And so this is really the first like little swell of guys sort of like, okay, what are we doing? But then you can see someone's trying to go. And man, this hill is so deceiving because it's like, yes, it's a hill. And so you're going to make guys do work, but it's so fast, right? At 27, 28 miles an hour. I don't care if it's a hill. You know, you're just getting so much draft. So it was difficult for sure. This turn one right here, there was like, I kind of figured out this little sneaker line to the far right. You like dip out to the right. And it was so efficient. It was so efficient, guys. If you went up the inside, there was like water right there, and you sort of had to slow down too much to take the real inside, so kind of hugging the very outside. I really liked that line. And in the 1-2s, I used that line a lot to basically not pedal and keep whatever. I mean, I was on the back, but keep whatever okay position. What else to talk about? Aggressiveness. The 2-3s in California are not, it's not super aggressive. The 1-2s are much more aggressive. Again, this felt, no one was taking crazy lines. No one was taking a bunch of risks. I felt pretty safe, other than in this freaking turn right here. I just personally, I couldn't see the turn, right? I couldn't see where it started because there's so many guys in this turn. I would often like drag my brakes and just lose, like right now. I touched my brakes and I lost all this position, and then having to accelerate out, right? Freaking 600 watts, dude. If I had not touched my brakes, not 600 watts. So that was just a turn that I really needed to have not been such a, whoa, look at that. That dude almost wrecked. I mean, his front wheel got caught like in that guy's derailleur. I think he even broke a spoke. And so then right here, a little bit of commotion, you know, and in a moment like that, when guys stop pedaling and guys attack, it's possible, dude. It's possible for a move. So this guy right here, I tell him, go around. You know, forget this guy, bro. Go around him. Don't let this gap open up. And then he did. Like, he went around and he was chasing this down. And I wasn't looking behind me. I was really racing forward, so I don't know if we have a gap or not. I'm just going to stick on this guy's wheel and hope that he closes this down. And then maybe I can look back and see that we've got an 8-man break. And we're going to ride into the sunset. And it would be awesome. I'm surprised that this guy closed this gap down all by himself without, you know what I mean? He's doing a lot of power, man. But then this is what's so frustrating about any race, east or west, is when you do all this work to get to the move, and then everyone's just looking at each other, and you're like, no, go. Don't look around. Let's race. And so, anyway. Then those guys kind of, because again, I don't know what was going on behind me. Maybe there were some splits. I have no clue. But, you know, that was a good little dig. And then I think right here, I tried to take my own line through this. And so, okay, I'm doing 30, 29, 30 on my own. The lap before, I was doing, 27? You know what I mean? And so now I'm on the front. Everyone's lined up behind me. And so I'm not trying to pull everyone around. Moves start to go. It's interesting looking back at the race with a clear conscience and not being hypoxic, not like being in the moment, and looking at how the race played out and the decisions you make. I mean, honestly, even if you don't have if you were never going to share your videos, throwing a GoPro on your bike and filming a race, I'm at 190 beats per minute. Why? Crazy. That's a lot of beats per minute for what didn't seem to be a lot of watts. Huh. And so if you just filming yourself, you're able to look back and see things that, you know, like right now, I know my GoPro is a really wide angle, so it looks like I'm further off this guy's wheel than I am, but still, it is something that I see like, oh, I could be way closer to guys. I could be way further up on their wheel and be saving more energy. So that's something that like I gotta try to think about, because I feel, come on, dude, why you opening this gap, bro? Now I gotta close this dumb gap. Because if I don't close this gap, what if no one else closes the gap, and then I'm the dude who let the brake solo off into the sunset? But everyone's looking at each other. A lot of looking at each other for sure. There were, I think, 3 big teams. ButcherBox, not vegan, and then Rockstar in the pink, and then Good Guys. They were like all black. Those were the more dominant teams in the group. So kind of just, but again, man, I don't know how these guys race. I don't know the dynamics. I don't know anyone. And so it's hard to mark or know how the race is playing out. And again, like in hindsight, yeah, dude totally should have just done nothing, hung on the back, and let the race play out. But how fun is that? Not super fun. And I don't have like a crazy sprint. You know what I mean? I'm not a good sprinter. So that's not really my skill set. So when guys are like, oh, bro, you need to race smarter, you need to sit in, you need to conserve energy. Yes, I do to a certain point. But at what point do I expend that energy? What time? So I save all this energy. It's for the end, because I'm not going to win a sprint. My sprint is so weak. So I'm going to have to use these bullets and use my motor to give myself a chance to win, right? If I sit down and I think, what are the actual chances of me winning a race? Like, what does that scenario look like? That scenario does not look like me sitting on the back and waiting for the final 200 meters. That scenario, it just doesn't exist. And so the scenario for me is getting into a break with like 2 or 3 guys, and those 2 or 3 guys are also not great sprinters. And so eating off their lunch before mine and getting into a position where we come into a sprint with non-sprinters, and maybe I can, do something there. That's the scenario. Or a solo move, right? I go off, I catch people sleeping, and everyone looks at each other and doesn't chase. And I'm able to, give a good 2-3 minute effort to stay off the front. Those are essentially the 2 scenarios in which I could win a race. So that's sort of what I got to do, right? I mean, I got to look for those potential scenarios. And sometimes a move goes from the gun. And that's such a good, I would love that move, because I would love to have a hard, long race with 3 or 4 guys. I feel like I would do better at the end than if I got into a really late move where guys are going extremely hard. You know what I mean? My motor just seems to be better suited towards let's go threshold for a long time versus VO2 max for a short time. And then what the ability I have to kick out of that, So I again, in this race, I've looked for a few moves. And right now, I think in my mind, I am going to just wait to the last lap or the last 2 laps and hope that I can do a last lap flyer and just again, catch guys off guard. Matt, no name Cat 1. Look at this guy's butt for one. Hold on. Dude's butt hanging out. I what? Gotta be cold, dude. So no name Cat 1 is saying you gotta stop attacking from the front, right? When I made the attack, I was second wheel. And so I'm not really able to, I have no extra speed. If you attack from the middle or you attack from the back, you can sometimes catch the front at 1 mile an hour difference, 2 mile an hour difference. And so that really, you can slingshot off the front, and it's difficult for guys to make up that ground. But this group is so big that if you attacking from the back, bro, you're attacking for 20 seconds before you even get to the front. And then how many guys are just watching you attack up the side and then have a time, have moments to go. So in this moment where like the pack's so big, I really did think a move from the front, just like this guy, right? He gets this little gap because dude in teal or blue didn't go with him, right? I mean, that guy essentially just opened up the gap and let that guy ride away. That's what I was hoping. I was hoping for something like that. And then maybe I could keep the power down. 11 laps to go. The lap counter seemed completely random. I don't know if that was me just being sort of delirious, but I swear every time I looked at the lap counter, it was like it was a different number, and not necessarily in descending order. It's like 11, 15, 7, 10. It's like, what is happening with this lap counter? But anyway, this little section right here, in the 1-2s, I got better at it. But this little, like, right as you crest, if you could swing some momentum right now, I'm drilling it. But these guys are attacking, right? They're really trying to go. They're trying to catch those two guys up the front. And again, I'm keeping good position as to where if you're on the very back of this, you don't even know that there's a gap. You don't even know that there's a gap and that two guys are off the front. So you have no chance at all to even respond to that because you can't even see it. So I really spent a lot of energy to stay up front. But again, like the course, like I was just saying, learning how the course flows, learning these little lines, it saves you energy, keeps you efficient. And so that little the little kicker, you swing out kind of too wide and then you're not set up for the next turn. So then you're sort of just like on this weird angle, and then you sort of lose a lot of speed. And so keeping it really tight when you're turning left so that you have a better apex going right, going into that straight. It was a good move. It was a good line. I tried to pick up on that as soon as I could. Here going into turn 1, I'm too far to the left. I didn't like this. I didn't like being too far to the left because, again, there's like water right there, and I'm just super afraid of my front end washing. I've never really wrecked. I've never crashed on my bike, other than like I ran into that car once, and then I think there was a guy who I ran into. But me personally, I've never crashed on my own. And it's because I don't take risks. And that's definitely, I think, a reason why I lose positioning. Like right there, that dude in the teal took a line up the inside that I personally would be a little too afraid to push. I just don't, you know what I mean? I don't know. It scares me. I don't want to wash my front end out. I don't want to pile drive my face into the ground. It's something that I need to work on. It's not that I don't know. I don't want to go on an excuse rant on why I don't take risks. But I don't. I don't take risks. And I haven't wrecked for that reason. So I think that's like, if you want to talk about risk versus reward, not wrecking is been great. I love not wrecking. But also, I want to win a freaking race. So I'm going to need to sack up a bit and start making better moves, more risky moves. I mean, obviously not, endangering others, but sometimes guys like blow up the inside and you're like, dude, if you wreck, you're taking a ton of guys out. It's just my thoughts, I guess. Other things. What else to talk about? New York versus California, or East versus West. Again, the amount of guys that came out, I just think it's just amazing, dude. It's amazing this many guys are wanting to race their bike in freezing cold. I think that's really, really neat. I think the community here is super strong. The people, and this was something took me by surprise. I thought as soon as I got off the plane, I was going to get stabbed and robbed. It's not how it was. Everyone in New York seems just as, they're just humans, right? From I've been to Texas, New York, California. The race community all feels identical, right? Identical. The way that people talk, the way that people behave, it all seems bike racers are the same. It's just we're all like cut from the same cloth. The only difference is that New York is so outside of New York, and I'm not like so outside of this race. It felt as if everyone is like in a bubble. No one has time to pay attention to you or look at you or even acknowledge that you exist. Because there's so many people that you sort of have to look at New York as a terrain. The people and the cars are a part of the terrain. As I walk through the forest and there's trees and there's rocks, I don't stop to talk to a rock or shake a hand with a tree. It's just a part of the terrain. And so I'm moving through that just as like, you know what I mean? As just myself. And that's honestly by like the third, fourth day when I'm going out and walking through the city, I could really feel that I'm just going to navigate these cars and these people as if they're a medium, you know what I mean? That it's a part of the environment, because there's so many people that you don't have time, or it just makes no sense to like try to get to know someone or even smile or wave or acknowledge. I went to dinner. I went to dinner Friday night with Brian, and we go to this vegan restaurant, and we sit down at a table, and dude, there's a couple eating across the table from each other. I sit shoulder to shoulder with this lady while she's eating dinner with like her husband or boyfriend or whatever. I'm literally touching shoulders with this woman. And it's like, what is happening? Why am I sitting at your table? You know what I mean? But I guess this is normal in New York to sit this freaking close. You know, in California, bro, I'm getting a booth. I'm like 100 feet away from the next diner. You know what I mean? What the heck? And so I look at her, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm just blowing out your date right here. And she just didn't even acknowledge me. You know what I mean? Like this, it's so normal, but it's like she's not even paying attention to that I'm a human. It's just I'm a thing in New York. It's a part of the environment. This thing moves, and it's going to sit down next to her and bump her shoulder. And I was so blown away that she didn't even make eye contact with me or acknowledge that I am now essentially eating dinner with a stranger, where our plates are like 6 inches apart from each other. And so that was part of that, right? It's like so weird that outside of the community, outside of the race community, how much New York, dude, just don't have time for we don't got time for you, dude. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. But I think that once you break that bubble, everyone seemed fine. Everyone seemed normal and nice, and I didn't get stabbed. So that was like a dumb, like my own bias on how dangerous or scary New York would be. But it wasn't. It wasn't scary in the way of crime. It just was intimidating. It's intimidating on how big things are and you know, how you move through space. So, you know, there's that. But as the people, like the community, when I talk to some of the racers, there's no way, if you didn't know you were in New York, if I did an interview with the winner from Texas, the winner from California, and the winner from New York in the races that I did, there's almost zero chance you would know, oh, that dude's from New York, that dude's from California. Maybe other than the verbiage, the guy who won the P12s that I did an interview with, you know, he said that Caesar stacked it because he wrecked. He said he stacked it. And I was like, I'd never heard someone say stacked it. So then that would be maybe a giveaway of like, where are you from? Because that's a weird word to use. He also said whacked it hard, which I've never heard anyone else say. When someone makes an effort, bro, he just whacked it. Dude, you see Jimmy on the ride today? He was whacking it. So there's that. What else to talk about? We're getting close to the end here. I don't know if you can hear, a freaking cat is inside my house meowing. Sorry about that. So heart rate. My heart rate is a bit more of like a hummingbird type heart rate. It's just it's very high naturally. And so my max heart rate at one point was like 210. And then I started taking spirulina every day, and it actually dropped my max heart rate by like 10 to 20 beats. Right now, my max heart rate's like 195 to 193. I think in here I hit like 191. But so 180, 170 and 180 for me is not really that big of an issue. And so right now, if you see like 170, it's not like I've done, I think my best hour heart rate is around like 181, 182. So like that threshold heart rate. It's like 170 is not, at 160 I'm recovering. 170 I'm just kind of, it's, it's difficult, but it's not that hard. 180 is going, and then 190 is full gas. So that gives you some sort of, but other guys, right? That's what's so weird about heart rate is like Phil Gaiman, you know what I mean? He's doing 1 billion watts up a climb and at like 170, and that's like his max. But it's all different. It's all it doesn't, your heart rate doesn't necessarily equal, speed or watts. It's very like specific to you. Good turn. Again, I like that turn, man. That turn was fast, and I wish I had gone faster through it or been a little bit more aggressive through that turn. I also didn't know how, this is kind of dumb, but I don't know how my tires were going to react to a cold pavement. I very rarely ride outside at 40 degrees. I would say never ride outside in 40 degrees. Forget that, bro. That's ridiculous. Right here, everyone was doing nothing, and so look at this little move I made. Neat. 5 to go. So everyone was like slowing down, and just like No Name Cat 1 had said, I did kind of attack from the back. I should have probably attacked sooner. I just was sort of like, oh, I'll just move up. I'll just move up through the group. But then everyone was doing nothing, and so then I attacked. I got to this guy's wheel, and then did not hesitate, because if you hesitate, what you do. So I just tried to jump around him, because sometimes like he had been on the front, and so he's kind of dying out. If I just jump on his wheel, you know what I mean? I'm losing all the momentum. So I tried to jump around him, try to do something cool. Everyone's on our wheel. Nothing happens. Nothing's working. There's no way. But look at my heart rate. I mean, I went all in on that. 193 for sure. Maybe we have a gap. I don't know. I don't think we do. I think that there's like maybe 5 seconds or less, right? But this guy's going, and it would be sweet, dude, if me and him went off. And again, this is the thing, right? I'm pushing some watts, so we must have a gap. I think we do. I think we have a gap. Maybe I totally forgot about this. I think we got a gap. And so then trying to make this work, trying to make this potentially go. If we have a gap and I'm with one other guy, like, dude, yes, bro, right? Yeah, sweet. So I'm really all in on this. I'm very all in on this. I 100% forgot that this happened. 193 is a big heart rate, and now we're going into 4 to go. I've just burned some matches, but now the good guys team, they were looking for a sprint. And so I think that he pulled us back. That again, dude, that climb, I was doing 400 watts, 500 watts up that climb. Guys could have swung around that turn, done 300 watts, and closed the gap. But I'm looking for a chance to win. That's the other thing. Again, like I said, I'm looking for a chance to win. So when that was, I risked it, dude. I risked not having a good finish by burning matches, and I did make a move. It was doomed. It wasn't going to work. It didn't work. But I had a chance, right? I had an opportunity. And I think that just as if I can give myself more and more opportunities to do well, there's just a matter of time, right? It's just like throwing enough darts at a dartboard. You could be blind, and just if you throw 1,000 darts at a dartboard, eventually you're going to hit a bullseye, even if you don't know what you're doing. And so when I have very limited opportunities to win, like a sprinter, a good sprinter, he has more opportunities to win. He just has to be patient. But for me, that's not. I need to look for these rare opportunities to get a move going with the right guy. And then when you have that opportunity, you gotta go all in on it. And so that was what happened. 5 laps to go. It's like, okay, dude, this feels right. This feels like the right time away. Like, this feels like they're not going to chase us down with 5 laps. Like, I'm happy with that move. I'm happy, dude. I'm way happier now with this race that I remember that I was in a bit of a move with 5 to go. I don't think I would do anything different knowing that. You know what I mean? Anyway, so what are we at? We're like at 3 laps to go now. I've lost a ton of position, but I've lost that position to recover. So with 5 to go and blowing my butthole out to try to make that work, I've got to recover. But by having good position, I'm able to sort of slip through the pack. Not completely, give up all my position, but I'm able to not have to fight at the front. It's strung out right now. Super strung out. Very strung out. Very fast. So then I think this is where I start to think maybe I could go again. Because if we went hard and someone chased us down, okay? And now someone's on the front going full gas. There is potentially setting up another opportunity where there's going to be a lag in the field, a slowdown, and an opportunity for someone strong enough to get off the front and go. And to be honest, if I was stronger, if I was able to do 600 watts, 700 watts, or snap, do like a 1500 watt snap and then hold 500 watts, maybe if I hadn't done anything all race, right here, I'm able to get all my position back with basically no work. That was great. That was fantastic, right? Looking at that opportunity, 2 to go, 2 laps to go, looking at that opportunity of everyone swelled for a minute and I just used my momentum. And that's why it was so hard to get away, because so many guys would do that. You go so hard, and then up the little climb, up the little riser, the guys from the back would wash to the front. And even though no one's really attacking, gaps would get filled in just by guys, right? They would just move into the gap with no energy. So, but now I'm in a pretty good position, and I like this guy's kit. This little like paint splatter, that's kind of neat. Guys are just smashing the front, trying to get away, trying to do something. So this is sort of where, if you're not a sprinter, man, this is your moment. And again, dude, it was strung out, it was fast, a lot of attacks have happened, and so I'm hoping that I can just launch, and guys are just going to let me go because it's the last lap, so that they're going to be looking for sprint lead out trains to go, hoping again that just people are going to look. So I go, and yeah, maybe if I had been like 4th or 5th wheel, it could have been better, but I wasn't in that position. So I'm 2nd wheel. If I don't attack now and I just move over with the guy in blue, I'm going to get swarmed. I'm going to lose all my position going into the last lap, right? I'm just going to lose all of it. I'm going to lose anything I've gained. So I really didn't want that to happen. I just felt like I was sort of forced in this position. I do that effort. I get no gap. 0 gap. I could not even get a wheel. So then these guys are setting up for a sprint. They're setting up for their sprinter. And now I'm like, I'm 3rd wheel. What do I do here? I don't really want to be 3rd wheel. I just blew myself up, essentially. what's going to happen. I have no clue. This is not a situation I'm in often, to be honest. And so when you're in situations, you practice those situations, you know how your body's going to react in situations. Being third wheel with 80 some odd dudes behind me, this is, I don't know, man. I don't know. This is like uncharted territory. I'll say, though, that again, in my experience, in the 2-3s, we'd already be getting swarmed. Guys would already be just sprinting. And so maybe more guys know how this finish is. Or like, it's just in my mind, I'm thinking, dude, at any moment, guys, we're going to get swarmed. And the swarm happened so late that it really, it took me by surprise. Like, so right here, I honestly wasn't like trying to go for the win. I was thinking, dude, we're going to get swarmed. Why is this guy not on, like, he's just on the front? We got to go. So I try to sort of get ahead of that swarm, and maybe guys are going to file in, like I can jump on guys' wheels. But I just had no, at 500 watts, 600 watts, dude, it's just not enough. And so then guys are just blowing past me, and I'm like, ugh. Blah. If I had not put out a lot of effort, I think in the last 5 laps, maybe I'd have had a better snap to get on guys' wheels. But again, I'm still not winning the race. I'm just maybe top 5 or top 10. Instead, I get top 22. Top 22. I get 22nd. So anyway, there's that. Guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for all the love in New York. I know I haven't done a full race like this in a while, but I felt like a proper race breakdown wasn't. I'd already kind of done that in the vlog. The vlog was, I felt like it was a good story. It was a great video. I'm really happy with how that video came out. And so doing a breakdown, just wanted to do this. Want to do a little Racecast and walk you through the whole thing. There's a lot to talk about. And sort of just give you some trainer material, something that you can watch and ride. Because these are kind of cool, right? Full races, sort of cool. Anyway, I've got a lot of other videos coming up. I super appreciate it. You guys are awesome. As always, Vegan Cyclist. Yeah.